Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my dream world. This week, I'm very excited because I was able to watch the show live this week, Dancing with the Stars on ABC, and comment alongside some live threads. So that was super fun for me. Made this a lot easier for me as well because I didn't have to wait for Disney Plus to load and everything, which, by the way, I'm not using right now. So it was a whole thing. But that worked out. And I do want to say before I get too much farther into this video, excuse my voice. I've had a little bit of a rough day today, but we're all good now. Happy to be recapping the show. But yes, this is week 2 of Dancing with the Stars, and I have a lot to say. So if you're new to my channel, I really just taught, this is a new series that I'm doing. I haven't covered Dancing with the Stars yet, but I've been watching it for a couple years, so I was like, let me just add this to my rotation. Basically, what I'm going to do for this series is that I'm going to just cover the whole show, kind of go over some opinions that I had overall, and cover each dance and couple individually, and then kind of go through the highlights of the night and like who I think should have been eliminated versus who actually was, if I have a different opinion. And for those of you who have not been to this channel before, I am not ballroom trained, so I'm going based by what I've learned by watching the show and from what I know as a former performer. Ooh, former performer. I did not expect to say that. But I'm just somebody who loves entertainment. I work in the entertainment industry. I am not ballroom trained, so please feel free to correct me kindly, but you can correct me in the comments. But yeah, to start it off, I just have to say I was loving so many of the looks tonight, but there were a couple of misses as well. Like, Julianne, you're gorgeous, but what was that dress? Jenna, you're also gorgeous. I just did not love that color scheme, I'm not gonna lie. But they all looked amazing, though. I'll get into it when I cover each dance individually too. Obviously, I will note Carrie Ann is back this week, so we're definitely back in like the standard Dancing with the Stars territory now. So Alex and Val opened the show, and I don't have much to say other than that was a clean, good number. It wasn't super engaging for me, but I do think that there was a lot of jive content in there. The judges pointed that out. And I do think she was better than she was last week. She looked more comfortable. She was a little bit cleaner. It wasn't quite as like, because like last week there was some, like she wasn't, a lot of people were saying she was stiff. For me, she just wasn't like going through the transitions of the dance very well. But yeah, I think she definitely improved this week. And again, she had a pretty good amount of content, so that was a clean, well executed routine. I think I agreed with the judges' scores this round. It was a solid dance, but it also didn't really stand out to me. I found her getting a little bit lost in the shuffle. That could have been because she went first, and sometimes the first dance gets forgotten, but yeah, improvement from last week. She did a good job. Then Danielle and Pasha went next. It looks like she definitely dealt with some physical complications from the week before. That made me really nervous for her. She did all right, though. I didn't really find anything special about the choreography, and I could have seen her be cleaner. I do have to agree with Carrie Ann when she said it felt like she wasn't breathing in the first half, because I think she kind of eased into it a little bit more halfway through the dance. And you could kind of see it in her movement quality. I think she was quite nervous. Maybe the injuries hindered her. I preferred her week 1 dance, but it was still solid. It's just, again, in such a stacked cast, this did end up being a little bit on the weaker side for me. I was actually a little surprised that Carrie Ann gave her a 7, especially since, oh, excuse my phone, it's blowing up a little bit. But yeah, I was a little surprised by that 7 simply because I was like, really? Same level as Alex? I'm not sure about that. But I am happy for her because I love her, and I've been keeping up with her podcast. She's super, super fun to listen to. I'm rooting for her. She's kind of my underdog, but I do think that her week 1 dance was stronger. Okay, next was Andy and Emma. This man is so sweet and precious. I loved their package. I love that he's found an appreciation for dance throughout this journey he's had so far. It was all just very wholesome, genuine, good vibes. The dance was, again, I loved the vibes, but he was just very stompy, and I do think he lost his timing partway through. I appreciate that he's honest about just wanting to improve a little bit each week. I respect that he's kind of like, hey, I'm just here to have fun. I was a little surprised about that 6. But, you know, Carrie Ann Inaba will Carrie Ann Inaba. I'll get to her. She didn't piss me off, but I'll get into Carrie Ann Inaba in a little bit. But objectively, I do think Andy should have been one of the two going home. That's just my opinion. However, I love the man. And while I know I said I was going to keep this pretty strictly about dance, and I'm going to stay on that, but you know, there are a few people that I dislike more than him for certain reasons. So in my head, I was like, you know what? He can stay, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. I did think he was, you know, he just wasn't the strongest dancer, and in such a strong cast, it is pretty glaringly obvious. But you know what? I'm here for the vibe, so I'm not mad that he did end up staying. And then next we have Lauren and Brandon. Apparently, some people didn't like that Lauren said that she was confident due to her performance experience. I think that that's silly. Why is it bad for her to be confident? It didn't come off as cocky to me at all. And you know what? It shows because she's so confident, and she's so elegant and smooth, and she made that foxtrot nice and flowy. She overall is just very lovely to watch. I agreed with Carrie Ann's comment that her teamwork with Brandon was really great to watch as well. The only thing I had for her, because she was one of my favorites of the night, but the one note I had was that some of her transitions felt a little bit wonky. I think Derek said like that turn kind of threw me off. It wasn't the turn, it was like the transition into the turn that was I was kind of like, oh, that kind of came out of nowhere. But overall, I love her. She's definitely one of my favorites. Super, super fun to watch, and I am rooting for that pair. I want them in the finals. And next we have my girl Jordan and Ezra. Okay, so I was both hopeful and nervous for this one because last week, for me, it wasn't her dancing that was the problem. I just didn't feel like it was a proper salsa. And I get it, it's week 1, but like there was little to no salsa content in that dance, which is annoying because Jordan is definitely capable of executing that type of dance, and it didn't happen. So I was kind of like, dang, I wish that it had better choreography. And Ezra saw the criticism and was like, you know what? Thank you for the feedback. I'm gonna fix this choreography. And it paid off. He made a good decision because it was so much better this week. So good in terms of content. I could definitely feel that both of them were locked in. The only thing is I do feel like she was a bit tense in some places, but I loved her energy. The choreography was so much better. Loved her sass. They both definitely redeemed themselves, and obviously the judges agreed because she went from 5s to 2 7s and an 8. One of the top scores of the night. So happy for her. I mean, I've said in my earlier videos, I love Jordan Giles. So going into this season, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be rooting for her, and she earned that tonight for sure. They're definitely going to be one to watch. They haven't done ballroom yet, and I do think that that is going to be a different ball game for her, but I'm looking forward to it. I think Ezra is going to, you know, take in the fact that, I mean, these are the highest scores he's ever gotten because he got eliminated very early last season. So I'm just like super pumped for them and really excited to see her continue on in this show. Corey and Jenna. So first of all, Jenna is stunning, but yeah, I just did not love their wardrobe. It was too neon for me. I don't know if that's just a weird me thing, but I didn't like Hilaria and Gleb's outfits last week either because they were too freaking neon. But yeah, wardrobe. I respect you so much because I have worked in wardrobe before, but there was something like either I was missing something here or like this just isn't the type of colors that I would go for. But enough about the costumes. I could kind of see that Jenna was definitely a little frustrated in the package, and I also hated the fact that they gave him this song choice because if you know, you know. I'm gonna leave it at that. But again, it wasn't the worst dance that has ever been on this show, but it's such a stacked cast, it didn't stack up for me. And it was just like weird. I didn't feel like it was really a cha-cha. Like, yes, it had some cha-cha in it, but I was like, he's kind of just like sliding around the floor, and everybody was distracted by Jenna's abs, and I think that's why he went home. He just didn't stack up. And I think between him and Andy, Andy won over the TikTok fans. So the TikTok fans saved Andy because I was a little bit worried that the old gen, like the nostalgia gen, would save Corey. And yeah, like, I'm just wasn't a fan of him, and I wasn't really a fan of this dance. It's, yeah, I'm not gonna make it personal, but sad for Jenna, but now she can kind of go and choreograph some really cool group dances now. So that's not like Jenna won last season, you guys. She doesn't need to go far this season. I mean, I know she's an excellent choreographer, but it was just kind of like, it's okay. Like, I'm okay with Jenna taking a backseat this season, especially since she won last year. So I'm just kind of like, it's okay. I'm okay with it. But yeah, this was just not my favorite. I did not like this dance. It just made me feel kind of icky for multiple reasons. But, props to him for coming on the show and moving. I mean, he moved. He moved. Don't get me wrong. He did. Like, he was sliding across the floor. I didn't expect that. But hey, you gave it your shot. Unfortunately, you got eliminated tonight. It's okay. Next, we have Jen and Jan. I'm glad we got a quick step from them, since they also received some criticism for the lack of content last week with their salsa. They had a little more content than Jordan Ezra did, but this one is a tough one for me because I'm like, okay, I feel bad that they have a quick step because that's kind of hard, but also like anything they get is going to be hard, especially because she doesn't have any dance experience. But they did a great job. I don't know how accurate I am with this statement, but from my observation, it felt like a little jivey rather than quick step, but they still had a lot of really good quick step content in it. And yeah, they were very good. This was a very cute dance. Maybe not my favorite of the night, but it was like good. I enjoyed it for sure. And oh boy, Carrie Ann and Naba already came at them with the potential accidental lift. I think I saw the moment. I'm gonna have to rewatch the dance to be sure, but I think I did notice that kind of like when I was like, ooh, is she gonna call that out? And she did. I did like that for the most part they maintained hold and they kept the content more consistent, because again, that was the critique they got last week. And side note, they both looked gorgeous. I do think that 8 was not deserved. I do think that Carrie and Inaba overscored them. However, this was an improvement for them. So, I'm going to just say this was a cute dance and I really liked it. And next we have Mr. Irwin, aka Robert and Whitney. So, I loved Robert last week. I love him in general. I'm definitely a fan of his. But I did go into this kind of interested to see how he would do in hold with a frame, because he even said it in his package that the jive came like so easily to him personality wise, but the tango is a more serious and dramatic style than the jive, and it's very different in terms of technique and execution. Yeah, and Robert was even saying like, can we go back to the jive please? Like, I thought that was kind of funny. But once again, he definitely exceeded my expectations. He did a fantastic job. Definitely the best male dancer. I'm just gonna say that now. As of now, he is easily the best male dancer on this season. Genuinely, my only note is that they broke hold, especially because it was like kind of randomly in the middle of the dance, and it was a really like weird, because like one thing I did say, I didn't love Scott and Riley's tango, but when they broke hold, they did something kind of fun. This was like a weird robot dance, and I was like, what? No, don't do that, because he was doing so great. It had really nice flow. It was pretty easy to watch. But then they broke hold and did like weird, and I was like, come on, Whitney, don't do that. I know you want the TikTok views, but you're getting the TikTok views without the gimmicks. Don't ruin it. So I 100% agreed with Bruno's note there. And I do think I preferred his jive by just a little bit. But again, he was still fantastic. I was very impressed by his frame. So far, I do think that was one of the stronger dances of the night. Like, it was a great dance. I'm just being nitpicky because I know some people love Robert and they're just gonna like vote for him. And I am too, because I love him. But I gotta be picky. Like, we gotta keep it fair. We can't have double standards just because we love Robert. Next, we have Elaine and Alan. She's definitely my dark horse of the season. I love her. Like I've been following her on social media and she's so fun and she's like classy and sassy and I love it. She's lovely, definitely a great dancer. I might have missed something, but the cheerleader theme for her kind of threw me off simply because it felt a little bit juvenile, especially since she's one of the more mature dancers on this season. And I do think she lacked a little bit of sharpness, but she was still amazing. I mean, that was a good, clean jive. It was on time in a well executed, good routine. I do think I preferred her cha-cha. And the reason I preferred her, I just think it's just more memorable to me. Like I kept thinking about her cha-cha and I was like, dang, like Elaine I loved her so much. But she was still fantastic. Definitely a top 5 of the night for me. And I'm rooting for her. I know she might be the one that I'm kind of worried about in terms of votes because she has fewer followers, but I'm pulling for her. I really want her to make it far. Oh, Baron and Britt. When I saw that Baron had a samba, my heart sank because samba is notoriously a hard dance and Baron was struggling with the fan support from what I could see, and that made me sad because he seemed so like unproblematic and fun and charismatic. And I enjoyed his dance last week. I definitely preferred his dance last week as well, but yeah, that it wasn't a great samba. It wasn't. I'm going to keep it real. And I knew it wasn't going to be great because that style is notoriously difficult. And he did make a pretty visible mistake. He was stiff. I will say his footwork was good. Like I noticed oh, his feet are moving. Like but then he kind of like tripped up and made a mistake. It was still not the worst dance of the night, at least in my opinion. And I really would have liked to see him make it to the next week because I think he had a lot of room to improve. It was just kind of like, dang it, Samba week 2 is criminal. But yeah, if you've watched my past videos, you would have heard me say that I'm so sad for Britt. Like I love Britt. She's one of my favorite pros, so I was really sad that she got shafted. She just looked so sad, and it was just like this was supposed to be her year. It was her wedding, and then her birthday, and then just darn. But I'm happy to see that he is at least getting a lot of love on social media. Nothing but appreciation from me. I'm just, it was a little sad and disheartening, but I did kind of suspect that that was going to be the result of tonight. Okay, next we have Whitney and Mark, and again, this one, it comes down to technique, and she definitely put a lot more personality into the dance this time. So I really enjoyed it. Objectively, it was one of the strongest dances of the night. I'm only judging by dance ability, which in this case puts her pretty high on my ranking, and even though she's not really my favorite celeb, I haven't watched her show, it's whatever. But yeah, I do feel like Carrie Ann kind of overscored the wrong Mormon wife because Whitney was definitely better than Jen, but I guess they might be like taking in the dance experience, so I'll let it slide just a little bit for now. That's my opinion, especially since yeah, I don't know. I feel like for Whitney, her first night dance was cleaner. Like there was one moment where she made kind of like a weird step moment. And I was kind of like, ooh, was that a mistake? I don't know. But when you have Mark Ballas's choreography and good dance technique, you're gonna do well. And I enjoyed the dance. Again, I'm just going based on how much I enjoyed the dance, and I did in fact enjoy her dance. Hilaria and Gleb. Today I learned that apparently she's a wellness influencer, which I did not know. I was not aware of that, but yeah, they put the two trained dancers, Hilaria and Whitney, back to back, so we can kind of accurately compare now, especially because they, swapped styles, so I feel like we can kind of see, technique and versus choreography versus whatever. Once again, this was very technically clean, but it just wasn't my favorite performance of the night. There wasn't really anything that made it special for me. It was a very good dance, but they broke hold for seemingly no reason, and there wasn't anything that really stood out to me. But in terms of technique, her frame was beautiful, her legs looked great. I actually think I liked it a little bit better than her cha-cha, even though her cha-cha technique definitely was more natural. I just felt like that dance was kind of clunky. But yeah, once again, Carrie Inaba, the lift police, she struck again because I didn't notice that. Maybe I just missed it because I'm not a ballroom judge or dancer. But I'm going to try to see if I can catch the lift moment on rewatch. Once again, I do think that they're judging her harder based on her experience, because she scored lower. Like, she was not amongst the highest scores of the night. I think several people, she had the same score as last week. So I do think that they're judging her harder, which I appreciate. So I'm not going to agree or disagree with their scores because I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, like, objectively, that was a good dance. I don't care for this partnership. And I do think that they were in the bottom three. Like, I do, if not bottom four. It was either her or Andy, because I know they say, like, not necessarily in the bottom three. Like, I would not be surprised if she's just not getting the votes because people do not like this woman. But yeah, I'm not surprised, and I'll get into that in a minute, but I am not surprised that, given her dance ability, that she stayed. Okay, and in the penultimate spot, which is also often referred to as like the death spot, because a lot of times people in this spot on the first elimination get eliminated, but that clearly did not happen this time. Again, I felt so bad when I saw that he had a samba. I was like, week two samba is criminal. Like Baron, I was like, okay, yep, definitely gonna give him some grace. And you know what? He was not bad. In fact, I was very pleasantly surprised. Like, I'll get into it. He just looks kind of like, I agreed with, I don't remember if it was Derek or Bruno who said this, but he just looks kind of weak next to Daniela, if that makes any sense. Like, he needs to be sharper with his movements, because I said this last week, but he just looks kind of lazy. And I did notice that he definitely lost a little bit of steam partway through. Like, there was one moment where he just, like, went so slow, and I was like, ooh, is he okay? But all things considered, I think he executed the samba quite well, considering it's week two and he has no experience whatsoever. There was a lot of actual samba content in this dance, which was impressive, because last season we had one samba, and it wasn't a proper samba because it was Disney night, even though it was iconic. But like, it didn't have any samba rolls, it barely had any actual content. Like, this is the most content filled dance that we've seen since like Sochi Gomez's samba in season 32. So it's just kind of like, dang. So yeah, all things considered, he impressed me. I do think he was a little overscored, because I don't think he deserved sevens. He was not as good as a lot of the people who got sevens, but it was a huge improvement. And given the fact that he actually, like, that was a samba. Like, I could tell that was a samba. Did he lack balance? Yes. Sorry, bounce, not balance, bounce. He lacked bounce, and he, just didn't really have great movement quality, but he did a samba. So I'll give him props for that week too. It was better than Baron and Britt. So I was like, dang, like, you know what, Dylan? Good job. And last but certainly not least, we had Scott and Riley, and I definitely predicted that Scott would be better at Latin styles over ballroom, which need hold and like frame and stuff, and I think I was right. He was better this week. He did feel a little bit awkward, I noticed, whenever they would like do, not side to side, but whenever they came back together and hold. Like, when he was doing his own thing, he felt more confident. But when he was like, back doing side by sides and stuff with Riley, I could feel some stiffness. It was a little awkward, and he definitely had some technical flaws, but he definitely looked a lot more comfortable in this dance, and I think his scores were fair. Like, on average, it looks like him and Baron were tied, only above Corey and Andy, who were tied at the bottom. So given the elimination, it does look like he's definitely getting a lot of the votes. That does not surprise me at all, because he has his own fan base and Riley's fan base, so I knew he was safe, even though he was kind of on the lower end of scores. But yeah, I do think that he improved as well. As for the elimination, I hate the fact that this is a double elimination. Like, I hated it. Week 2 double elimination. You're telling me we could have had another week of Baron, possibly, assuming Corey was the lowest ranked person. I just hate double eliminations this early in the game. But Yeah, I was right. I definitely said it's going to be a combination of Corey, Baron, Hilaria, and Andy. And I did predict that the two eliminated would be Corey and Baron because Andy is getting so much love on TikTok, and I think Hilaria's scores saved her. I mean, her scores were significantly higher than both of theirs, so it didn't surprise me, but it definitely made me sad because I was gutted for Britt and Baron. I think they deserved another week. I really, really do. He showed potential. That Samba was not good, but I think given any other style, he would have done better. Based on what we saw in week one, I was like, oh, he can move. Okay, great. But yeah, Corey and Jenna, that didn't surprise me. I agreed with that decision. If it were up to me, I would have switched a few things, but I'm okay with this elimination because, for the most part, on paper, it was fair. The only other person who was below Baron on the leaderboard, other than Corey, was Andy. And then Scott was tied with him, and we all know Scott has the fans, so he's not going to go. So it really came down to like, and I really do think Hilaria's scores kind of saved her there. So I was like, okay, is it going to be Andy or Baron? I'm just kind of glad it wasn't both of them. That would have been really sad. I would have been kind of upset if both Corey and Hilaria stayed. But Hilaria's a good dancer, so I get why she stayed. It was her scores that saved her. But yeah, the only one scoring wise, like if we're going strictly by judges' scores, was Andy. He was the only one that was worse, and Scott was tied with him. So it was like it's gonna be like two of those four, and it made sense. Unfortunately, um, yeah, that was sad. I'm really sad because I love Brit, but it's okay, you know. It's just unfortunate. Somebody always has to go first, and this is a very stacked season, so it is what it is. As for my top three, actually, I'm gonna give a top five because I have a top five now. I know it's only week two. It'll definitely change in week three. I'll probably, like, try to narrow things down as the season goes on. But Jordan, love her. She definitely redeemed herself. Robert was also great. Definitely best male celeb on the seasons. I think it's going to stay that way. I'd be shocked if any of the other guys really like surpass him at this point, but yeah. And I love Robert. So, yeah. Trying not to be biased, but it's I came in as a fan of both Jordan and Robert. So it makes me happy that they're doing well. Objectively, I enjoyed Whitney's dance. I know some people aren't like super big fans of her, and some people feel like, oh, Mark is getting too much favoritism. It's because Mark is a very seasoned pro. Like, he's earned a lot of respect in the ballroom world and on the show. So, yeah, he got a good dancer, and I'm just gonna enjoy their dances. Again, I did not watch this woman's show, so I don't care for her outside of Dancing with the Stars one way or another. But objectively, her dance was great. And of course, my girls, Lauren and Elaine, I really enjoyed their dances as well. So they'd kind of be like my top five of this week. I'm going to say the most improved were Dylan and Jen. I don't know how, well, not most improved, but like I felt like they definitely stepped up from last week. Dylan did a lot of hard, even if it wasn't the best executed, he did a lot of hard content, and Jen did as well. I do think she was a little overscored. I think both of them were overscored, but they also both very much improved. Strictly based on dancing, my elimination would have been Corey and Andy. I love Andy so much. I'm actually happy that he stayed just based on vibes alone. But like objectively, dancing wise, they were at the bottom of the leaderboard, and I agreed with their positions at the bottom of the leaderboard. So those two, like if I had to pick based on dancing, it would be those two. If I had to pick based on who I don't like as people, that's different. But yeah, this video reaction isn't about that. So Corey and Andy would be sadly would be my two eliminated people, but yeah, otherwise, next week is TikTok night. I don't love that. I think that's kind of like a really stupid theme. I'm not a huge fan of theme nights in general because I feel like they're so restrictive to the pros and their choreography and the music can really throw some people sometimes, especially if they don't have too many options to work with. So hopefully they do okay with this theme. But it does look like we're getting a cameo from Miss Charlie D'Amelio herself, so I'm interested to see if she's going to be a judge or if she's just doing a special guest appearance. We will see. Um, Carrie Ann Inaba, she was inconsistent tonight. Like, she didn't tick me off. Like, she didn't upset me. Because I'm very, like, hot and cold with Carrie Ann. I either, like, 100% agree with her or I 100% disagree. Tonight, I wasn't upset with her critiques. I just thought her scoring was weird. Because, like, how are you going to give Jen an 8 and then give other people who were better than her 7s? It just kind of didn't really make sense to me. And she also gave Andy a 6. Like, I love me some Andy, but a 6? Really? Really? Okay. You know, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, she didn't really bug me too much. Otherwise, I don't fully disagree with the scoring tonight. I feel like it was pretty straightforward. But yeah, this show, as of now, it's the women celebs and Robert. That's who's standing out to me. It's the women and Robert, because the men are kind of, other than Robert, are lacking. But, you know, Dylan and Scott, we could see them bring it. Andy is just here for the vibes. Like, he even vocally has said he's kind of just here for the vibes. And you know what? I'm here for it. Good for you, Andy. You are a ray of sunshine. And I'm excited to see you next week. But yeah, this is the female Robert show. And side note, Anye, the troop member, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but Anye, she looked absolutely stunning in that orange dress. That is all. But yes, I am very excited to see how this show is going to progress. I do think it's going to get very chaotic because, again, this season is stacked. And who's to say who is actually going to get eliminated? But you know what? Even though I am really sad about Britt and Baron, they probably would have gone in week 3 had they not gone this week. So I'm trying not to be too torn up about it. But yeah, the competition's steep, y'all. Let's see how this goes. Let me know who your favorites were, how you think this show should have gone. If you have any, like, glaring opinions you'd like to share in the comments, let's discuss. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please like, please subscribe. I just hit 300, so thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. I've been kind of like doing this as a hobby for a while now, so hitting 300 is, even though it's like not that much for some people, it's a lot to me, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much for watching if you made it this far, and I will see you next week. Bye!